This conference will now be recorded.
All right, so this will be found on YouTube because that's where whenever I record a GoToMeeting conference, it will be uploaded onto the Squadron YouTube by Officer Cadet Savage. Okay, so without further ado, right, so I'm just going to reiterate again what for this lesson plan, right, your creation is going to be. I had a question that somebody said, if you want to incorporate an activity in a virtual format, right, how can you do it? So I'll take just this sample lesson if there's an activity in here. Let's see, do I have an activity? No activity in here. Just looking for something that has an activity. Okay, so we have one. All right, so this here has an activity. So it says the activity objective of the activity is to have cadets demonstrate positive group dynamics within a peer setting. All right, so it says ask the cadets to find a partner, preferably somebody they do not know. Right, so now this, I understand this is where the struggle comes in. Right, so if you do have an activity, your lesson plans happens to do have an activity, right? Look for ways that you can customize the activity to virtualize it in a way, right? So maybe you can turn, right? This needs like feedback, right? You definitely need hands-on participation, right? So it's up to you as to how you can customize this. So in a lesson like this, right, you're trying to get cadets to interact with each other, right? So obviously for this, since you guys will be uploading, I won't mind this as much, right? But if you were teaching an in-person lesson, so if you do have an activity, just for this instance, I can make an exception, right? So you won't have to go through the activity if it's too hard, right, to actually accomplish virtually. But if you were to do this in this virtual setting, right, what you can do for this activity is that you can have cadets message each other in the chat, in the virtual chat, in the GoToMeeting chat, right? And then basically, you can basically have the cadets speak to each other via chat, right? Or you can ask your cadets to maybe unmute themselves and turn on their cameras if they're able, and have a conversation with the cadets, right? A specific cadet that they don't know so well, right? So that's something you can do. So how to virtualize it, right? Make the cadets kind of be more engaged in the activity, even though it may not be the same, but you can do something that kind of gets them doing a similar idea, but in the more virtual context, if that helps. Does that kind of answer your question? I guess, okay. I know it's tough, but for this evaluation, you can omit that. If you have an activity that's presented in your lesson, right, you can omit that for this portion. Okay? Or if you are able to come up with some other activity that you're able to virtualize it, go right ahead, but I won't really nail you guys on that. I won't expect you to do it because it is challenging in itself, and in the format that I'm asking you to provide your lesson, right, it's not as feasible, right? So you can skip over the activity part. Okay. Right. So as I said, for this lesson, right, or your evaluation, everything that you need will be found inside the Google Classroom. So you'll have your lesson plan template that you'll be required to complete. And obviously there's also an example here that I posted in the C409.01 section, plan a lesson, right? So you'll find the sample lesson plan creation, a full completed lesson plan, and then the PowerPoint that I taught for that previous training night. Okay. So for this, I created a virtual teaching tutorial as well that will help you navigate around the virtual teaching, right? That you can go through as well on your own time, right? Just as long as you watch it and try to mold your lesson along some of the strategies that I put inside that tutorial, you might be able to work with some solid lesson that will kind of make your process easier, right? Yes, you can use stuff like Google Survey or like the Google Forms, right? If you have that available, just put it inside your submission or your lesson, right? Anything that helps enhance your lesson, right? I will consider it a bonus, right? I will consider it a bonus because it's something that makes your lesson much more dynamic and engaging. So I don't mind if you have any extra tools that you'll use to help keep your engagement up in your lesson. Okay. In terms of the evaluation, it's all in the rubric here. So you can either score an incomplete, completed with difficulty, completed without difficulty, and exceeded standard for this. So each section is basically guiding you on what's expected of you to complete this evaluation successfully, right? So as long as you follow the criteria that's listed out in this rubric and you plan your lesson accordingly, right along the guidelines, right, you should have no issue with coming out with a completed without difficulty or exceeded standard, right? So I know this virtual teaching is challenging, but I will be here to walk you through every step of the way. If you have any questions, right, just you can put it through in the Google Classroom and I'll be glad to answer, right? So each of you have also been assigned a proficiency level 1 or proficiency level 2 lesson. The instructional guides have been posted in the classroom for you guys to access, right, and find your lessons and create your lessons off of them accordingly. Okay. Any questions? All right, so once again, I wanted to demonstrate for if you want to make use of PowerPoint. I know PowerPoint's not the only tool, but it's definitely one of the most convenient tools that you can use, right? If you want to create a lesson, it will be specified it will be specified like that you'll in the comment that I sent earlier today, right? So I'll specifically list out what your EO number is and what the lesson title is, right? So it's all posted in the classroom underneath your instructional evaluation section, right? So if you want to create a demo lesson, so let's just say that this is for proficiency level 4. Okay, right, you'll just add, once you're done adding all your slides that you need, so I'll just put in some blank filler slides here, right? And you've put all the content that you need on your slides, etc. Then you'll go to the slideshow tab under PowerPoint. In this slideshow tab, you have the feature that's available to record the slideshow. So when you press on this feature, then you can then record your slideshow from the beginning, which will then open up this little box here, and then record. Then you can start narrating your lesson and moving your slides. There's also the feature that you can use with the pen or a highlighter feature, where you can pick and use with your mouse to highlight certain concepts that you want to emphasize. You can also draw things with your mouse or write on your screen as well, if you wish, with your mouse. Right, so like that. I'm terrible with drawing on the mouse, so bear with me, but that you can do. Right, so you can record it, and then once you're done, you will hit stop. Once you hit stop, then you're good to go. You can press escape, and then you'll want to go to File, and then you'll want to save your recorded lesson as a PowerPoint show, right? Saving it as a PowerPoint show will then allow you to upload it to the Google Classroom. And then once it's downloaded by myself or whoever wants to view it, it'll start playing your audio and your slideshow without anybody having to press any buttons. So you save it as a PowerPoint show, it's all ready to go, and all you have to do is upload and it's done. right? So you'll be uploading both your whatever format that you decided to use for your presentation or your lesson, and along with your lesson plan that goes along with that lesson. Okay. So I strongly recommend also before you start planning your lesson, the actual teaching phase of it, you watch the virtual teaching tutorial I posted in the classroom. And that will help solidify any challenges that you'll encounter and maybe how to work around them as well. Okay. In terms of where to find your designated lessons, right, under the classwork section on Google Classroom, you'll find that there's different categories. So you have training resources and lesson plan creation. Right, so under the lesson plan creation tab and under the P0409 instructional evaluation label, you'll see that there's your assignment that's been assigned there. So you'll press view assignment. This is how it looks from my perspective. So I see all you guys. All right, so let's just take Levson for an example. So I posted a comment here, right, where you'll see that he's been assigned this lesson, EO M230.02, discuss significant events in 20th century military history. All right, so each of you guys will see that I posted this comment underneath your assignment of what lesson that you have. Okay, so that's where you'll find it. So inside the classwork, and you'll see what lesson you've been assigned. All right, perfect. Okay. So any questions for me?